Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 27th of January, comes to you from Sydney. My last day here. I'm flying out in a few hours, and I thought I'd just record Charts Today for you. It's just 10 past midnight in the UK, 11 o'clock in the morning here. We were closed here in Australian markets yesterday for Australia Day. India was shut as well. We've got a close now in Europe and the US, and Asia is open. So let's just take a look at where we ended the day for Western markets. First of all, the dollar, we saw that sinking feeling. The big question thing was we had that downside target on the 60-minute chart, and that's where we went straight to. So really quite key there that we've really fallen through that level, and that was based on intervention for the yen. That's the story that is around the market, that the Federal Reserve's intervening. Euro not quite touching new highs there. If we do break to new highs on the euro, that takes us back to levels not seen since 2021, so 4.5, 5-year highs. So that's really quite significant there as well. The Japanese yen, of course, is the big story. A lot going on in Japan, fears of bond market. So we see that yen intervention there showing up on the daily chart. Sterling against the US dollar is like the euro, just nudging to making new highs as well. No big surprises there. Bitcoin, we are just not far away. It was at 88,000. 84,000 is the level that we activate this downside target. And of course, the 60-minute chart is going to really highlight that downtrend there. We've got a little upside target, but not through the cloud yet on the 60-minute chart, so still pretty bearish medium and short term. Looking at the NASDAQ, we did stage a bit of recovery. A lot of tech companies reporting this week still have not activated that upside target, so that's quite key. Futures are currently flat. It's the middle of the night now, so we really have to wait a few hours before we see any movement there. The DAX was up very slightly, and that's quite key. And Japan was down 0.5%. As I mentioned, fears for the Japanese bond market is quite key there. The Aussie market is up 1% this morning, so that's quite key. Just seeing a move there in the market, so that's quite strong. And India, after their national day, is pretty flat, so no big changes there. We still do have quite big upside targets for India medium term, but the key thing is what's going on in the bond markets at the moment. And if we look at Japan, this is really the big concern. And you can see those upside targets met. On the 40-year, we've got a big upside target. And again, every time we have a pullback, that generates a new target. So if the pullback is significant enough and we get a thrust, we will then get a new target. A thrust off a low is what produces those targets. So that's key to remember. US Treasuries, not up a great deal, but that target is in place. So, that's 4.5% there. And on the 30-year, which has been in place for longer, at 5.13%. So, the reality is bond markets are still looking quite worrying. We're seeing the German bond yield just steadily climbing as well. Upside targets here, waiting to see if we activate a new upside target. Remembering multiple targets gives us more conviction. That's multiple buying thrusts producing that. So waiting to see if a new high comes in there. So that's going to be quite significant as well. Taking a look at some of the tech moves, we had Apple up 3%. So that's looking a bit more positive, but still teetering below the cloud here. Will that target be met? The downside targets were met on the 60-minute. We've got a little upside target there, but realistically, we are in this medium term, not looking great. The short term may be a recovery. Google continues to be strong, just waiting to see if we activate this upside target. That will be a cluster pointing to the summer, some 25-30% higher based on those targets. These are just a point and figure, remember, so there's no magic here. And then we've got Microsoft, they're up 1%. So that's quite key, but they're still below the cloud there. And if we look at Meta, also reporting this week, a very mixed picture, not yet activating that upside target on the daily. And Nvidia, of course, still failing to make a new high. This is, really significant that, they are some way off that previous high, and that was back in October. We fall through that 170 level. That's not great news for Nvidia. And we did see chip makers really falling quite heavily yesterday. If we just do a percentage change on the Nasdaq constituents, we see here we had Intel down a further 5%. They were pretty badly hit the day before. So we've seen two big down days there. That's really significant. Even though we've got upside targets, that is significant. And if we look at AMD, they were also down 3%. So that's really quite interesting. Struggling to make a new high there. You can see on the chart, we do have an upside target, but just struggling at that resistance level, the previous high back in October. A lot of tech stocks are doing this. Micron is another chip stock which has been going to the moon, but they were off 2.5% yesterday as well. And Tesla, quite interestingly, just really almost failing at that previous resistance level in 2024. So just a very mixed picture there for Tesla as well. So that's going to be quite key. Coming back to commodities, we've got gold, of course. That's been a very big story. When we look at that upside target there, you have to go to the 60-minute chart for gold for targets. Got a little downside target to 4,900. If we hold that level, that's bullish confirmation. Remember, if we don't reach the downside target, that's bullish confirmation. Do look at my resources on the Updater website for explanation on how to interpret these targets. But the key thing is, and of course, if we hold 5,000, that's going to be very strong indeed. Silver was up another 3.38%. We do have a downside target back to $90 for silver, but this sell-off will potentially give us a new upside thrust. That's the 60-minute chart. We look at the daily. Any pullback in the price is going to give us an upside thrust potential. So that's going to be quite interesting if we do pull back. We did nudge 117 at one point here on this chart, but the key thing is we're going to have a pullback to produce the next target. Platinum has been a real star. We're seeing here they're on their way to a big target. Again, pulling back with gold and silver, no big surprises there. In energy, the morning call commentary won't be happening today because I'll be in the air, but we still will put out the morning call report. Crude oil has actually just still failed to hit this upside target, so that's quite key. US nat gas, what a performance that has been. We look there at the daily chart, just unbelievable levels, and on the 60-minute chart, these targets largely met, so really quite key there as well. TTF, European gas, again, we'll be covering it in the report. We do have a little mini downside target, and really, if we look at the daily, for the first time, we had a bit of a bearish candle there, but do look out the report and watch the 1-minute charts there. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm heading to the airport. I'll be in Singapore for the next few days. Until tomorrow in Singapore, happy charting. Bye for now.